Here we go. It is our first spring practice edition of the Vol Report, brought to you by Bassey Lawn and Garden with Jacob Warren, and plenty of things to talk about. Some possible emerging stars at tight end, as we expected.
Yeah.
Sometimes no surprise is a good surprise, and we'll talk about Tennessee the first week under their belt and first day in pads. Jacob Warren, how are you, sir?
Can't complain. Like I said, first day in pad, so a little sore, a little tired, but feeling good, man. I'm having a good time.
Feels good to get out there and rolling, I would imagine. I was asking Cooper about this before spring practice began. At what point do you get tired of hitting the same guy over and over? When does that
Yeah.
happen?
That's the biggest part of spring ball is just like there's no good like game to play for, right? You're not competing against anyone else. It's just gonna be you and your buddies, and it gets to the point where like the defense is becoming the other team, and so obviously things get heated or whatever. But yeah, I mean, just going against the same people every day. Obviously, you get to learn their strengths, learn their weaknesses, and try to help each other get better. That's a step I think that we've kind of taken recently. Is if a linebacker beats me on a pass rush or something, it's I can go to him now comfortably and say, hey, like, what exactly did I do? That told you should do this, or if I whatever it may be, beat somebody on a route, they'd be like, "Hey, what exactly? Like, was I doing something wrong? Did I open my hips the wrong way?" And it's awesome that we're able to kind of help each other in that regard. But yeah, spring ball is definitely, man, it gets kind of monotonous and gets kind of repetitive, just hitting the same guys. But that's part of it.
Yep, not there yet since just the first week, and I personally hope the temperature warms up for you. We talked about that earlier. We got to get warm out here. That helps you get the best conditioning. You need like what 102 degrees.
Man, don't say that. Yeah, don't say that. But no, I think a little bit warmer would be nice for sure.
Not 102
Yeah, no.
with a high humidity level. All right, so let's dig into this because there are some specific guys I want to ask you about, but I'm curious now that you've been through spring camp several times, how quickly you can figure out that newcomers, in this case, midterm enrollees,
Yeah.
are going to fit in. Do first impressions mean a lot, or does it kind of take a progression through camp to say, hey, that guy's going to really help us?
Yeah, I think that there's kind of two parts of it when you say fit in, right? Fit in, I think the first thing I think is just how is the person, as a person, right? Do they fit into our culture? Do they fit into, our tight end room, or do they fit into the wide receivers room? Are they gelling really well with the guys? And I think that, if a kid's able to do that, if they're able to have a lot of, comfortability and just, fit in well within a position group, I think they also end up fitting well on the field, right? If they're a good talent and they're actually put the work in. But yeah, you got a lot of guys that come out and are just exciting to watch, and you don't really know what you're going to get a lot of times. But obviously, very early in spring camp, they get opportunities to go compete, and it's cool to just watch them, and cool to watch them. I think make mistakes too, and just kind of be able to coach them up, to bring them along, and just watch them learn, watch that light bulb go off in their head of, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense, or oh, I never thought of it that way, whatever it may be. So it's been good.
I listened to Joe Milton's press conference already in the beginning of January. I think his goal was to assume the reins of this team, but that's just amplified in the first week of spring camp. And he certainly seems confident, like he's able to do that or going to do that.
Yeah, Joe's always going to be that way, right? That's how Joe is. Joe's very, not even cocky. He's just truly confident in his work and his preparation and the position that he's in. And he's sitting there, saying, "Look, I stayed around and I'm here and I stayed to be the guy." So obviously he's going to go and compete and do everything he can to I guess hold that spot, if you want to call it that.
And then you had Nico come out this week. I think he started with uh, basically throwing fourth team reps. I'm sure. I mean, I don't think he's going to be fourth team in the fall. I'll go out on a limb, Jacob. But it is important to bring him along when so much hype has been associated with his recruitment and signing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's important that, he does take those fourth team reps, right? Because now he learns how to play, right? That's when you learn how to play, is when you're playing with all different types of people, different speeds, different, people getting out of their breaks at different times, and different pass rushers coming at you, different offensive linemen working with. So yeah, man, I think that, regardless of where the guys end up on the depth chart, I think it's awesome that it's awesome that he's going with the fours, right, or whatever it may be. Like that's good for him. So
Two super exciting guys in your tight end room because you could use another running mate. That's how it worked so well
for sure.
last year with you and Princeton Fant. Now Princeton's gone, but one in particular that I just hear rave reviews on and his athleticism. And I heard this before he showed up on campus, but now Ethan Davis. Just your thoughts on what you've seen out of that young man.
Yeah, he came in and was one of those guys. Like I said, talking about fitting in. Was just very willing, right? Very willing to get to know us and to learn about each of us and wasn't I don't know. Sometimes you get freshmen that have come in and they're kind of closed off and maybe recruiting has told them one thing about how they are and who they are and whatever and they don't like it when they get here and they're now on the bottom of the totem pole whatever. But man, never got that from Ethan. I think he's been a guy that's just kind of put his head down and has struggled right at times as the same way I do and continues to struggle now, but um actually listens, I think, and actually knows, what I mean, what's good for him as a player, what I mean, and allowing everybody to just have, influence and impact and teach him things and he's learning things on his own as he's playing more. But yeah, you mentioned it, man. Just his athleticism, I think, makes up for a lot of mistakes for him. A guy kind of like Princeton Fant last year. Couldn't make a mistake, but is so athletic and just so fast, full speed is running can make it right. And I think that's a really big part of being a tight end and being a tight end in the system is being able to make things right. Um, and just we say solve problems with aggression and solve problems with effort, right? So he's kind of taken to that really well, and it's good to see.
I was talking to a scout, and he said his thoughts on Ethan when I asked him to look at the tape is
Mhm.
that just the physical upside, the physical ability is certainly there. What do you make of that? How would you describe his top end, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, man, sky's the limit, right? I think that whoever it was right on. I think that he's someone that just is blessed with abilities that a lot of other people, might not have, and lucky for him. But at the same time, he's got to be able to, have everything else as well, right? You can't just go out there and be athletic. Um, but yeah, man, the guy's strong for his age and fast and quick and twitchy and can get in and out of breaks, and so it'll just be a matter of understanding how to control his body and control his, you know, whatever, without getting too far into it, being able to use his body efficiently and effectively and all those things.
Yeah, and I would imagine that that is a challenge because you rely on your athleticism in high school and you're going to dominate
Yeah.
most of the time. But clearly tied in, I don't mean it's a finesse position, but there are finesse aspects of playing
Mhm.
tight end that you've got to learn from a fundamental standpoint.
Yeah, and that's everybody, man. That's what you see so many times is you see a guy in high school. Like I think I was the same way, right? Just purely just bigger, more athletic, just better at the game, right? Than a lot of the people that I was going up against. And then you get somewhere like here, and the whole room is full of those guys, right? I was one of those guys. McCallum was one of those guys. Everybody in our room was that guy at their own high school. So you have to kind of come in and respect the fact that, like, hey, these guys are that guy, and they also have been in the system for 4, 5, 3 years, and know a lot, right? And know what I want to know. So, yeah, man, he's been great on that aspect, though, for sure.
The thing that you said to me before we got rolling is he may not be bigger, but he seems bigger when he puts on the pads. He seems to fill out, and he seems like the he physically is a natural fit from the get. Is that a good way of phrasing that?
Yeah, he doesn't look like he just stepped foot on a college campus. I think is kind of the best way to say. He looks like he's been, what I mean, in our program for maybe not 5 years, whatever. But he looks like he's, obviously not. I don't know about predictions like ready to play or whatever, but the guy is impressive just for being his age and just getting on campus and all this stuff. So, yeah, definitely, I think more physically. Um, I don't know what the word would be, but
Develop maybe.
sure, right. Whenever he's out there, I think people are kind of surprised by how big he is and how he just looks like a good football player. So
And then McAllen Castles
mm,
obviously transfers in. You've been high on him from the get and his willingness. Now that you've seen him out there running around and one day in pads, what are your thoughts?
yeah. McCown's great friend, man. Just first of all, just like we mentioned earlier, came in and could have taken the route of I'm the new guy and I don't necessarily care to get involved and kind of put myself out there, but from the from the get go, man, just kind of was open and was willing to let us poke fun at him, right, and like he'll go right back at us and spending time outside of football together and just kind of. I mean, I get it, right? He's coming from California, right? He's looking for, probably looking for friends, right? So it was great that we were able to bond and make that good connection. But yeah, man, just being out there with him is fun. And he actually told me something earlier. He was slipping around a little bit when we were running routes, and he's like, "Dude, I've never played on grass before. Like, this is so crazy. I keep falling." And I'm like, "What? You never played on grass? What do you mean? Like, what does that even mean?" He's like, "Dude, I'm from Northern California where it snows every 5 days. Like, they can't have grass." I'm like, "Oh, I guess that makes sense, right?" So I guess he's played on turf his whole life, and so he's so used to that. And man, just stuff like that, and just watching him kind of adapt and develop, and um, obviously he's an older guy, right? He's the same age as me, and so has played a lot of ball, but I don't think has been quite developed as much as you he would have been if he was here, right? Just the attention to detail and everything that we do, whether it's where your foot's getting placed whenever you're run blocking, or how to make a cut at the top of the route, or whatever. Just as kind of one of those guys that just relied on his athleticism and obviously was I think maybe the best or one of the best guys coming out of that division and or his conference or whatever it may be. Um, and gets here and man, he gets a hold of a playbook and some really good coaching and the guy's starting to flourish. So super happy for him.
How Jacob's role might continue to change. Brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden. It is the Vol Report. Vassy Lawn and Garden has the industrial mowers, the commercial mowers. They've got the residential as well. But if you're thinking industrial, commercial in particular, maybe you're restocking your fleet or you're starting a whole new company and you're in Knoxville, Nashville, Chattanooga, it doesn't matter. Man alive, it's worth the drive. Vassy Lawn and Garden, they've got it all right there. Man alive, it is worth the drive. So your role last year consisted of you and Princeton
Hmm.
alternated pretty much every series.
Yep.
So I assume that's the way Josh Heupel would like for things to go moving forward. But if it came down to it and you had to play 2 of 3 or 3 of 4, there needed to be more Jacob for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Is that something just physically from a conditioning standpoint that you would be able to do?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's you find yourself in the games, right? Super tired during the drives, right? Obviously, we're going up tempo, we're going fast. Takes a lot of conditioning, a lot of just toughness, right? So by the end of the drive, like you're gassed, right? But I mean, you come over to the sideline, our defense is out there for 5 6 minutes, whatever it may be. Catch your breath, like you're good, right? You're good to go. And I think that there was some games last year where I was asked to take more reps, right? Just because of maybe somebody was like, say, P Fant was a little banged up or something was going on that he, what I mean, wasn't taking as many reps. Like that's where the other guys got to step up. And there was times where P Fant did the same thing for me, right? If I have something banged up or can't go every other one, he stepped up for me in the same way. So I think that it's definitely a possibility, and whatever happens happens. I think that you know we truly want to be balanced. We want to be able to get in and out of 12 personnel. We want to be able to do all these different things and have a lot of depth in our room. Um, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's a matter of getting the job done. And if that's me doing 2/3, then that's me doing 2/3, whatever it may be. So
Yeah, and I'm curious too how much give and take there is, not only just you, but every position between the coaches and the players.
yeah,
I know running back because you guys swap in and out a lot, but curious how much conversation is during the game. Hey, can you go here? How do you feel? That sort of thing.
no, it's big, man, and it's big whenever you have like another guy that can, right? Like that was every single drive last year. It was our assistant coming up and saying like, "Hey, like you're ready to roll?" Like, "Yeah, I'm ready to go." "All right, cool, go ahead." Or just coming up to us and having our conversations about adjustments or whatever we're making, and he'd be like, "Jay, you're up next. Like you're good to go." And I'm like, "Yes." Or if I'm truly not, I could be like, "No, I'm not good to go." And then it would be Princeton that would go. Like that's kind of just how it flowed and how it worked. And um, luckily, man, not been any egos and not been any type of whatever based on reps. And so yeah, I'm just lucky to be in a healthy system like that we can communicate and just be super open and clear about how we feel at the moment. Because at the end of the day, like they want the best version of the Tennessee offense on the field at all times. And if I can't be my best, then I don't need to be on the field. I mean, it's pretty simple, right? So
But
just be
you have to also be honest with them,
yeah.
even though it could maybe hurt your numbers or your production. Yeah, if you're gassed, you're gassed.
But I promise you, I'd rather be honest than be on that field feeling like I'm about to fall over, you know. So, I'm totally cool. It's just about being, having some humility and being humble and just telling the truth. Look, man, I can't go, and that's all right. That doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you, you know, not strong or not tough. It's just how it is. So,
Any hint of fullback that Princeton fan played last year? Any hint? Can you give me any insight to that?
man, I don't know if that's my game, man. I don't know if that's my. I don't know if that's me. We'll see, dude. I don't know, maybe, but I don't know. I haven't been at running back since I was 7 years old, so I don't know if that's necessarily, what I'm going to be doing. But we'll see. Again, if that's what it takes to win the game, I think that's what we're going to be doing. So
Oh, why do you say that's not your game? Why do you say that? I think you could do
I
that.
don't know. Having this 6'6", 6'7" with cleats, lanky, longer guy in the backfield is a little bit different than having your tank of Princeton fan, running that ball. So I don't know. That's just how I see it, but maybe other people see it differently.
Well, I'll give you that. Okay,
Yeah.
so it is a little bit more difficult to win
It's
in pass
more of a center of gravity thing. More of a balance, more of a center of gravity, you know what I mean? All that stuff. So
That's true. That's true. I can certainly see that. Well, now that you're in the zone, you feel like you've got the routine of practice down. As you move forward, can you just kind of discuss what you want to continue to improve on? In particular, with the receivers that you guys did lose, is there an opportunity for the tight ends to pick more of the receiving slack up after the guys that went on to the NFL?
yeah, I think, I mean, you look at it, and the guys that are not here anymore have been, I wouldn't say replaced, right? Because they're people, but we're going to work to fill those roles, right? The same way that they did last year. Um, But man, I think just becoming more of a viable option, right? And putting yourself in the position to where it's saying, hey, would I rather throw to Jay or would I rather throw to, somebody else? It's 3rd down and 7, right? Like I want to be in the position where I'm being trusted to throw that, to get thrown that ball, right? Last year when we needed a big play, they trusted Jalen Hyatt to just run by somebody and go catch it. So it's just a matter of what I'm doing, rather than what everyone else is doing and what the coaches are saying. As long as, I can make it undeniable that I'm the best option at any given point or whatever, um, then yeah, the balls will come our way as a tight end group. Yeah, just me personally, I think that right becoming an option more frequently, right? I think Joe enjoys throwing the balls to the tight end, so that's nice. But just working myself to the point where I'm just playing smart, right, and finding space and being able to play off guys and make the right decisions really quick and do all these different things that'll give me opportunity to catch the ball. And then secondly, Abe's coming from, being a former O lineman himself, O lineman, tight end, fullback type guy, and working with the offensive line last year is just really drilling home, our run game footwork and just our fits and how we, fit on second levels versus backers versus D linemen and all this stuff. So just continuing to focus on that and really get comfortable and confident in that new footwork. So
Talking about Alec Ailman, for those that don't know, that guy
yeah,
got the tight end position after being an analyst. I know you're really high on him. Great stuff as always. Get to Bassey Lawn and Garden, Man Alive. It's worth the drive. He's Jacob Warren. I'm Dave Hooker.
one thing, I can't
Yes.
believe you haven't said anything about my mustache yet.
Well, I did. I was trying to remember for sure if you
That's
had one.
crazy.
What is going on with the
I
mustache?
figured that'd be the first thing you would tell me. Was like, whoa,
Well,
what is the mustache?
I don't know. I mean, I've had failed attempts at facial hair.
Yeah, no, it's nothing, man. All the tight ends are doing it for spring ball. I was like, look, guys, mandatory mustaches. If you come to meetings tomorrow without one, then you have to transfer. So everybody showed up with a mustache, and now it's the biggest freaking joke on the team. Everybody wants to say something about it, but it's
So
fine.
this is just a tight end thing, or is this growing beyond?
It's just a tight end thing, and all the guys are like, dude, I might shave one now. I'm like, nope, you're not allowed to. Tight ends only. So
Free tight. How bushy are you gonna let it get?
I don't know, dude. That's the thing is, do I want to keep shaving it, right? Because obviously, you see, it's kind of growing back on me. But do I want to keep shaving it and keep up with it, or do I want to just kind of let it go and just kind of be like, oh, it was fine. So I don't know. We'll see. I get mixed reviews on it for sure.
You need like the bar handle. Is that what they call them? The
That's too much.
twirls?
That's too much. Get the little Fu Manchu or something.
Hey,
Mm.
now, just telling you, I was rocking a goatee when I met my wife.
There you
So,
go. That was also I'm not even gonna go there. I was gonna say something real mean there, Dave, but I didn't.
right. Well, it covered up my second chin at the time.
Yeah, right.
Jacob, great stuff as always. The Vol Report brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden. We'll do a mustache check next week
There we go.
to see if it remains.
Yeah.
So the goal is to get it through all of spring camp, right?
Man, we'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
It gets itchy after a while. He's Jacob Warren. I'm Dave Hooker, a presentation of Off the Hook Sports.